Good morning, good morning. Morning Star. So glad you're here on this Memorial Day weekend. Like, we're the ones who don't have plans, right? No, this is our plan to come here and see our people. I love you guys. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to all of the new faces. Zoomers, we're so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Yay, we see your faces. It's so good to see you. I'm going to share an opening reflection, and one of my roles up here is to help us stay on time, but you just can't get Amy without story time, so I have a story for you always. As a facilitator, and those who are facilitators know this, the week before I'm facilitating, I'm always looking for what's going to be my reflection. What am I going to do this week? I'm staying open to ideas that come to me, and nothing. This week, like literally nothing came to me, and I was like, this topic is personal to me. Like, why is nothing coming in to me here? And so last night at 9:30, I do silly things like, Spirit team, round up. Come on, Spirit team. It's 9:30 p.m. We still don't have a reflection. What are we doing? And so I walked over to the area where I keep my books and my poetry and all of that. And this book, which I'll tell you about in a second, crossed my line of sight, and I thought, no, I'm looking for a quote or a poem or something. So I reached down and I got something else that was a bunch of quotes, and it's been 20 minutes literally going through it, and nothing hit, and I was like, dang. So when I went to put it back, this book crossed my line of sight again, and I was like, I hear you, I see it, okay. So this book is called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. Is anybody familiar with who Glennon Doyle is and her story? She was highly respected in religious circles. She taught marriage, and she and her husband, taught a lot. They were very influential in religious circles. She and her husband divorced, and then later she married a woman. So you can imagine she was outcast by religion. Please don't think that I'm talking bad about religion. It has served its purpose in my life. I'm just sharing her story, her version with you. So she talks about how, in her eyes, religion really encouraged her to abandon herself, that to seek approval over authenticity. And while she doesn't say it outrightly, that's really what this book is about. And so I picked up this book and I said, all right, where are we going? What are we doing? And I opened the page, and there it is. It's going to be great for this today. So here we go. This is just a short section from her book here. She's watching Survivor Man or something on TV, and she's talking to her wife about it. And then she talks about this survivor man who's lost in the woods and his suggestion for when you're lost in the woods. And then she says, unfortunately, if one is lost in the woods, she cannot stay in one place because she has to go out and try to find food and supply to survive. What I'm gathering in that, in order to survive, a lost person must, one, stay in the same place, and two, not stay in the same place. This is why the woods are not for people, I think. I keep listening, she says. Survivor Man has a solution. He says, the most effective strategy that a lost person can use to increase their likelihood of getting found and thriving is this. She must find herself a touch tree. A touch tree is one recognizable, strong, large tree that becomes the lost one's home base. She can adventure out into the woods as long as she returns to her touch tree, again and again. This perpetual returning will keep her from getting too far gone. I've spent much of my life lost in the woods of pain, relationships, religion, career, service, success, and failure. Looking back on those times, I can trace my lostness back to a decision to make something outside myself my touch tree, an identity, a set of beliefs, an institution, aspirational ideals, a job, another person, a list of rules, approval, an old version of myself. Now when I feel lost, I remember that I am not the woods. I am my own tree. So I return to myself and re-inhabit myself. As I do, I feel my chin rise and my body straighten. I reach deeply into the rich soil beneath me, made up of every girl and woman I've ever been, every face I've loved, every love I've lost, every place I've been, every conversation I've had, every book I've read and song I've sung, everything crumbling and mixing and decomposing underneath. Nothing wasted. My entire past there, holding me up and feeding me now. All of this too low for anyone else to see, just there for me to draw from. Then up, all the way to my branches, my imagination, too high for anyone else to see, reaching beyond, growing toward the light and warmth. Then the middle, the trunk, the only part of me entirely visible to the world, pulpy and soft inside, just tough enough on the outside to protect and hold me, exposed and safe. I am as ancient as the earth I'm planted in, and as new as my tiniest bloom. I am my own touch tree, strong, singular, alive, still growing. I have everything I need, beneath me, above me, inside me. I am never going to lose me. I thought that was very fitting for today's service. All right, now please join me in reading the vision statement on the back of your songbook and on the screen. There we go. Our Sunday gathering is designed to provide a weekly encouragement to individually manifest our highest good and purpose in our lives. Inner direction is the key. We reinforce positive directions for our lives and the infinite potential within us. We seek connections to create an open atmosphere of acceptance of all backgrounds, races, and lifestyles. We come together in a spirit of inclusiveness, embracing all spiritual paths, honoring God in an atmosphere of unconditional love. All right, it's time for us to stand and sing along, and then that will be followed by our meet and greet band. People get ready?
People get ready.
People get ready. Page 36. Please stand.
Save his own, have pity on
wondering if I don't say anything, if people will just settle on their own, but I don't think it happened. I just thought, let me just see. Let me just hesitate for Frank's like, nope, not happening. I got to round them back up like I do my spirit team. Come on, guys, round them up. We're coming back. We're coming back. All right. We love each other so much, hugging and getting to visit, and such a great part of our service. I'm so grateful that we have that part. But it's time for us to come back in and settle in again, and we get to enjoy a song from our band. We get to sit back and relax and let them entertain us, if you will.
Just love.
What if God is just love?
Yes.
I love that, right? Yes.
He
Is that a Daryl original? Frank, that's a Frank original. Frank, I love that. So beautiful. Thank you. Oh my gosh, so good. Our chant is next. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our speaker because she's going to do the meditation and then go right into her talk. So we want it all to just flow. Today, our speaker is Brooke Larimor. In her talk today, she will help us understand the meaning of spirituality after religious trauma. We will explore the process Brooke has developed to help individuals rebuild or release spirituality outside of rigid systems. At that point, it becomes possible to move forward in a way that feels safe and true. So we are going to do our chant, which is the peace song on page 62. And then as soon as that's over, Brooke, if you'll come on up and you can do your meditation and your talk.
Too tall for this microphone.
So before we begin, I would like to invite you into a moment of grounding. I also want to acknowledge that for some of us, words like meditation, spirituality, or even just closing your eyes may bring discomfort or caution. So with that, you're welcome to participate in whatever way feels safest and most authentic. I'm ditching my shoes because I'm too tall. Whatever feels safest and most authentic for you. So you can close your eyes, soften your gaze, look around the room, fidget, stretch, or simply just listen. There's no right or wrong way to participate. Maybe take a couple deep breaths. I invite you to take notice of the support beneath you, the chair holding you, the floor beneath your feet, the people in this space with you. Notice that you do not have to hold yourself up alone in this moment. I invite you to take another deep breath, not because you should, not because you have to, but simply as an invitation to arrive here exactly as you are. You do not need certainty to be here. You do not need answers. You do not need to have your beliefs figured out. You do not need to force peace, forgiveness, hope, or healing. You can just be. Just notice what is true for you today. Maybe there's grief here. Maybe there's anger. Maybe some relief. Maybe there's confusion or curiosity. Maybe feelings of numbness. Maybe a longing or a feeling that you can't quite name yet. All of it is welcome here in this space today. For so long, many of us were taught to look outside of ourselves for permission, for truth, belonging, or safety. And today, even for one small moment, I want to invite you to consider this possibility. What if your body deserves to be listened to? What if your questions are not failures or wrongdoings? What if healing does not require an abandonment of yourself? You are allowed to keep what nourishes you. You are allowed to release what harms you. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to ask questions and be unsure. And you're allowed to not know. And whether spirituality feels comforting, complicated, distant, impossible, or even somewhat meaningful for you right now, I want you to know there is room for your experience here. So as we move into this conversation together, may this space offer gentleness instead of pressure, curiosity instead of fear, and permission instead of performance. So when you're ready, consider taking a couple deep breaths and slowly bring your attention back into the room. So as Amy mentioned, my name is Brooke Larimor. Thank you so much for having me. I know it's a holiday weekend, so I'm honestly surprised by the amount of people that are here, so thank you so much. That would be awesome. That would be really awesome. Okay. Oh yeah, that's better. Thank you so much. So I am a lifelong Oklahoman. Not born, but raised here and lived here most of my life. I'm also a licensed professional counselor serving the Norman area. My office is like 2 minutes from here. I also hold a master's degree from Dallas Theological Seminary, which I feel has given me a unique perspective on both faith spaces and the impact they can have on mental health and honestly our overall health. In 2024, I founded the Oklahoma Religious Trauma Network after noticing a huge gap in resources here in our state. And it has become a deep passion of mine, as well as an incredible honor and privilege to help Oklahomans find healing from their religious trauma, spiritual abuse, and church hurt. Today, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to spend some time with all of you exploring what spirituality can look like after these experiences. So, as we begin, I want to pose a few questions for all of you to ponder on. So I'm going to read the questions, and I want you to just take a moment. You can close your eyes again, or you can keep them open. Think about the following, or if you have paper and want to jot thoughts down, feel free. I'm a very activity-based speaker, so sorry, everyone that's really introverted. We're going to do our best. So what does the word spirituality bring up for you in this season of your life? Think about that for a moment. Maybe you find yourself wanting a sense of connection, but you have fear of being controlled or harmed, because maybe that's happened to you in the past. Maybe you're grieving the loss of your community or certainty or loss of identity. Maybe you find yourself leaning into anger and skepticism. I know I've been there. Maybe you've been feeling a pull towards something bigger than yourself, but you don't know what that looks like. Maybe you don't even know where to begin. I get that too. Whatever spirituality feels like for you currently, it's all acceptable here as we begin to explore a path forward. So take just a moment to ponder on that, and then I'll ask the next question. What might feel activating for you today, being in this space, having this conversation? Topics like spirituality, religion, and trauma can bring up a wide range of emotions. We all know that. I want to invite you to gently check in with yourself and pay attention now and throughout the entire talk that I'm giving today. Whatever comes up for you, please don't judge yourself or try to push it away. Your reactions make sense, likely, in the context of what you've lived through. So please practice caring for yourself in whatever ways you need and take a moment to reflect on that. What might feel activating for you today? Sometimes it's certain words or certain phrases or things that might remind you of being in a different space in the past. So I always try to be sensitive to that, but you never know what might feel activating sometimes. And then the last question, where might you be feeling stuck in your journey? And when I say journey, I mean spiritual journey. So this could be, maybe you feel caught between what you were initially taught and what you believe now. Maybe you still have fear that shows up when your mind has moved on or you feel like you've moved on. Maybe you have anger that you haven't known how to express or work through. Maybe you want to reconnect with spirituality, but you don't know how to do so in a safe way. Wherever you find yourself, I just want to gently remind you that being stuck does not mean that you are failing or doing anything wrong. Often the stuck places carry the most for us and are deserving of our attention. So take just a moment to reflect on that. I'm sure there are many different belief systems and backgrounds represented in this room, which I think is absolutely beautiful. But with each of them, I know, comes a deeply personal story and a set of experiences. Some of the beliefs you were taught may have been harmful, restrictive, or fear-based, while others might have brought you comfort, meaning, or sense of belonging. Even after leaving certain environments or belief systems, teachings that are rooted in fear and shame and control can continue to surface in unexpected ways throughout our daily lives. This can be in our relationships, in our bodies, especially in our bodies, in our decision-making, in the way that we see ourselves, our self-esteem, our self-worth, and so much more. So where do we go from here? I'm going to try to tell you, but I had sent the blurb to Amy about what I was going to talk about, and when I was thinking about things I've developed and like how I work through these things with clients, I was like, that's a lot. Like, I can't tell you all of that in 30 minutes or 25 or whatever. So I'm going to tell you about one tool that I have found and utilized that I think might be helpful. So, have y'all ever heard the term faith formation? It's kind of a Christianese word. In seminary, I heard that a lot. You have to have faith formation. You take classes to form your faith. So basically, we're just talking about the journey to which we build our belief system. So Reverend Brian D. McLaren published a book in 2021 called Faith After Doubt, which I love the name of that, in which he synthesized a dozen theories regarding faith formation and ultimately developed 4 stages he felt were most accessible. So rather than dismissing questioning and doubt, he frames them as a necessary and natural step that lead us to a deeper spiritual life that can be transformative. To me, his work feels like a gift, especially for those of us who have been deconstructing with no manual or survival guide. His work normalized our experience and showed the developmental aspects of it, instead of just being out here floundering, I think is what it feels like sometimes. So with that said, let's move into the 4 steps. This would be a good time to put that on the screen. I don't know, it might be too small. So I'm gonna try to go through and I'm gonna talk through them, but if you can't see it, I can give this, or maybe we can email it out or something later. Okay, stage 1 is simplicity. So this is the stage of our life when we're heavily relying on black and white thinking. We are eager to please our authority figures, and we focus heavily on loyalty and purity. We're gonna do all the things right. There's good, there's evil, everything has a place. As long as we're existing here, we feel secure because we have all the right answers, we're on the right team, and honestly, we have an answer for everything. Has anyone been there? Remember that? Yeah, me too. It's kind of nice, huh? It's really difficult for doubt to exist here. It's difficult for questioning to exist here. There is just already an agreed upon set of beliefs. And when I go through here, I'm going to say God or higher power for all of these because, I don't know, wherever you align, God or higher power here is viewed more as a supreme being, a protector, a warrior, someone that really lays down the law, an authority figure, maybe with a little love sprinkled in. Weaknesses of being here at this stage can be narrow-mindedness. This is not to throw shade. I feel like I've been here. Being quick to judge, maybe a false sense of certainty. Again, if we have all the answers, we should feel pretty secure, right? And maybe an eagerness to inflict or take on suffering because that's expected and encouraged. We lean into our authority figures and hang on the words they speak because they teach from a godlike platform, and ultimately we feel they can be trusted. So here, if you can see down below, life is ... Life is viewed as a war to be fought. Does that make sense? We're fighting for, the kingdom or, The good news here, though, is that wrong, sins, and brokenness can be forgiven. And the core question is, what do our authority figures say about this? That's what we're asking. And faith can be viewed here as an asset to required beliefs. I think there's a thing on there that says, might be missing part of it, but it's okay. Okay, so that's stage 1, simplicity. Stage 2 is complexity. So this is the stage of our life when we become more pragmatic. Here we can be focused on success and achieving our goals. We're not so focused on good and evil here, but on winning versus losing. And we want to be on the winning team. We begin to gain more independence and freedom. There starts to be more room for possibility, and God or higher power becomes more of an encourager and a guide here. So we're kind of moving along. It might feel natural to kind of double down on our beliefs here. We don't want to stray too far. And then we can be convinced, and we know all that there is to know in this stage. That's what we feel, because we're enthusiastic, we're eager to succeed. Weaknesses of being here can be excessive confidence or superficiality, and sometimes a bit of naivety. So here, life can be viewed as a game. And the good news is, help is available to me. I am not alone. The core question of our faith here is, what are the steps to success? What do I need to do? I'm stepping outside of just asking what the authority figure would do, but what do I need to do here? And here we can view faith as a means to an end, a desired end. Is this making sense? I hope so. Okay. All right. Stage 3 is perplexity, my personal favorite. This is the stage where we begin to develop more critical thinking in regards to faith and spirituality. A lot of times in higher control groups and systems, critical thinking is not encouraged, right? Because we're just asking, okay, what does our authority figure say about this? And so that's something that people typically have to work through a little bit later in life as they kind of deconstruct and reconstruct what faith or spirituality looks like for them. So here we're going to start to notice cracks in the foundation and be like, something's not right, and start working towards a more honest and authentic experience for ourselves. Sometimes we just decide to burn it all down here. We're done. We're just going to burn it to the ground. Deconstruction can be burning the house to the ground. It can be slowly removing it brick by brick, but it just kind of depends on the person. So here we're going to move from relying on authority figures to viewing them as manipulative and controlling potentially. Questioning is welcomed here, really for the first time, and you can begin to challenge the status quo. So there's a felt sense of safety here that didn't exist previously, and not a sense of safety as in having that sense of security because I have all the answers, but because I can be honest and vulnerable about what I've been through. We start saying the hard things out loud here. And some would argue that this is where holiness can exist, because we're being honest and vulnerable and sharing our stories. Here, God or higher power becomes more of a mystery. Like we're not quite sure what that looks like, but we're open to the possibilities. Some weaknesses of being here can be a lack of commitment, cynicism, skepticism, suspicion, even feelings of depression because we've lost a lot of the certainty that we had before. We would view life here as a joke, a quest, or a deception, depending on what all we've been processing. The good news here is that you are encouraged to ask questions and challenge the norms. The core question of our faith here is, what is the hidden agenda or bias that I need to be suspicious of? It's a kind of exhausting question and way to move across life, isn't it? If you're just looking for a hidden agenda or bias. But this is based on the past that we've experienced. And here we can view our faith as an obstacle to critical thinking or a weakness at best. We might even actually just see it as a source of harm or pain. Can anyone relate to being in that space, whether now or in the past? The fourth step is a little more positive feeling, I would say. So this one is harmony, okay? So this is the stage of our life where we begin to develop a more holistic view of spirituality. We see ourselves as whole beings, not just bodies, not just spirits. We're viewing it holistically. We value inclusion and transcendence. I feel like a lot of the things that you've mentioned in your chants and things that y'all do here, good and evil are no longer the main source of our worry here, but we're just focusing on the greater good and the whole here. We feel that we are all connected and part of a greater picture. So while he was likely writing this in, some sort of an evangelical picture of God and faith, I feel like this can really apply to you wherever you are. Just finding yourself in harmony with spirituality, with the world, with those around you. We're not going to gloss over our pain and suffering here, and we're not going to try to spiritually bypass our way through it. Has anyone ever heard of that, spiritual bypassing? Amy, yeah. Basically, that is using spirituality or faith as a way to not deal with emotions or not deal with someone else's emotions. So those of you that have experienced deep grief in your life have likely heard some of these things. Everything happens for a reason. It's just part of God's plan. God needed that person more than you did. I've seen this in terms of pregnancy loss and miscarriage. Well, maybe God needed them more than you did. Or you can always have another baby, God willing. Those kinds of things I think are often meant in kindness and with good intent, but it's really just trying to not feel the hard feelings. So we don't do that at this stage. We take grief and deep loss very seriously. We also lean into God or higher power here for creativity, wisdom, and love. In a quote from his book, McLaren states that, and I love this, faith becomes a humble, reverent openness to mystery that expresses itself in non-discriminatory love. I'll read that again. Faith becomes a humble, reverent openness to mystery that expresses itself in non-discriminatory love. What might our lives have looked like if faith had been introduced to us from a posture of safety, curiosity, compassion, and consent from the very beginning? How differently might we relate to ourselves, to others, and even to spirituality itself if fear had not been the primary motivator? If questions had been welcomed instead of silenced, if doubt had been treated as a part of growth rather than failure, what pain could have been avoided? What shame, anxiety, fractured relationships, or loss of self might we have never had to carry? What experiences would we gladly trade out if given the chance? But at the same time, I wonder, what if this questioning, grieving, rebuilding, and reimagining is also a part of the journey? Not because the harm was necessary or justified, but because healing often invites us into a deeper relationship with ourselves. One built not on performance or fear, but on honesty, agency, and self-trust. Maybe part of the work now is learning that we're allowed to approach spirituality differently than we were taught. More gently, more freely, more honestly, and maybe for the first time from a place that actually feels safe and not scary. So here in this phase of harmony, life can be viewed as a mysterious gift. Remember, we started at a viewpoint of life being a war that needs to be fought, and we've landed on mystery and treasure. The good news here is everything belongs, all are connected, all life is sacred. The core question is no longer what does my authority figure say, but it is what part can I play for the common good? McLaren also states, God or higher power is not a destination. Like a river, like a road, God or higher power takes us somewhere. For that reason, the authentic experience of communion with God or higher power leads into communion with all of God or higher power's creations. The deeper we go into the love of God or higher power, the deeper we are led into all that God or the higher power loves. So again, faith here hopefully becomes a humble, reverent openness to mystery that expresses itself in non-discriminatory love. So, I know what we just walked through may have brought up a lot and was likely a lot of information to take in, so thanks for bearing with me. And I'd like to give us a moment to slow down and reflect on these 4 stages together. I don't know if people ever do this here, so if not, I'm sorry. If you feel comfortable, I would invite you to turn to someone near you and share a little bit about where you feel you're in your journey lately. Are you currently in simplicity, complexity, perplexity, or harmony? You might resonate strongly with one stage. You might feel caught between multiple, or you might feel like your experience doesn't fit into any of them neatly, and that's completely okay. As you listen to one another, I want to encourage you to do so with curiosity and compassion rather than judgment or the need to fix anything. I doubt you'll do that, but just wanted to preface. Everyone's journey through religious trauma, spirituality, and healing looks different. And if talking with someone doesn't feel right for you today, or you're a little too introverted, you're also welcome to simply sit quietly and reflect on the question for yourself. Waiting to discuss this with a trusted friend, family member, or therapist at a later time is perfectly acceptable too. There's no pressure to share more than feels safe. So I'll give you a couple minutes to do so, and then we will come back for our closing. Let's take about 30 more seconds, and then we'll come back. Okay, I'm going to try to reel it back in. Reel them back in. Thank you all for participating in that. You all just took that and ran with it. Okay. Does anyone feel brave enough to share a quick snippet of what that conversation was like for you?
Harmony.
You feel like you're in that phase?
Yeah.
Amazing. I love that for you. That's amazing. I love that.
Vacillating between perplexity and harmony.
Yeah.
Ask me on any given day which one I'm in.
Yeah. Well, and I think like all healing, it's not always linear, right?
Yeah.
And that totally makes sense. I'm glad you all took that and ran with it. You did great. So I'm going to move into a little bit of a closing. So wherever you find yourself today, whether you're deep in deconstruction, cautiously rebuilding, still grieving, if you're spiritually curious or unsure if spirituality has any place in your life anymore, I hope you leave here knowing that your experience is valid and the journey that you're on makes sense. You do not need to rush yourself into certainty. You do not need to force healing to look inspirational or to be neat and tidy. And you do not need to become who you once were in order to move forward. I think it's usually the opposite. Healing from religious trauma is often less about finding all the right answers and more about slowly learning to trust yourself again. Like you were kind of saying, be the tree, be your own tree. Learning that your body, your emotions, your questions, and your boundaries matter. Learning you're allowed to choose what stays and let go of what no longer belongs to you. For some of you, spirituality may eventually become something reclaimed and life-giving. For others of you, healing may look like stepping away completely. Both are worthy paths. The goal is not conformity, it's freedom, safety, and authenticity. So that's where we're moving towards. My hope is that we continue creating spaces, especially here in Oklahoma, where people can speak honestly about religious harm without fear of judgment or dismissal, where grief and anger are welcomed, and where healing does not require shame or silence. Thank you for being willing to show up for this conversation today. Thank you for your vulnerability, your courage, and your willingness to reflect on these deeply personal experiences. And above all, I hope you leave remembering this. You are allowed to ask questions. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to heal. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to let go of the fear of being perceived. You are allowed to choose. You are allowed to take up space, and you are allowed to take your time. And you are allowed to define your own path forward. Thank you.
Now do you see why I love Brooke? Isn't she amazing? Right? Oh my gosh. Like, thank you so much, Brooke. I was telling Remy that my journey is my journey. I only know what I've been through, but I could see myself in every one of those categories. To see it before me, I told Remy, I was like, look at me go. Like, I'm just making my way through the steps. Like, yeah, we're just moving. So thank you so much, Brooke. I'm so grateful that you were here to share that with us. So good. Okay, it is now time for us to give back to Morning Star. In many ways, you can volunteer, you can help monetarily, which the gals are going to pass the baskets around if you feel guided to do that. If you want to volunteer, see one of us, I don't know who us. Who am I talking about? See me, and I can help you, point you in that direction. I do want to say, too, that Miss Helen makes name tags for us. So if you are here and you would like a name tag, be sure to put it on the list out there in the foyer, and we'll do that. We need our offering prayer, yeah. Okay, the offering prayer is going to be on the screen or on the back of your songbook. Recognizing God as the source of my supply, I joyously give of God's abundance, which is blessed and multiplied through me, and so it is.
2, 3, 4. Well, the moon is broken and the sky is cracked. Come on up to the house. The only thing that you can see is all that you lack. Come on up to the house. All your crying don't do no good. Come on up to the house. Come down off your cross, we could use the wood. Come on up to the house. You gotta come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. You gotta come on up to the house. There's no light in the tunnel, no irons in the fire. You gotta come on up to the house. And you're singing lead soprano in a junk man's choir. You gotta come on up to the house. Does a life seem nasty, brutish and short? Come on up to the house. And the seas are stormy, you can find no port. You gotta come on up to the house. You gotta come on up to the house. You gotta come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. You gotta come on up to the house. Well, there's nothing in the world that you can do. You gotta come on up to the house. And you've been whipped by the forces that are inside of you. You come on up to the house. Well, you're high on top of your mountain of woe. You gotta come on up to the house. When you know you should surrender, but you can't let go. You gotta come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. Come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. You gotta come on up to the house. The world is not my home, I'm just a passing through. You gotta come on up to the house.
Last week we were two-stepping. This week it's blues, right? More.
Well, something.
Yeah, that was, so y'all are just expand. I love this, something different every week.
We're going to play thrash metal next week.
Okay, be ready. Get your spikes on, everyone, next week. Yeah.
Here we are now.
Right. Oh my gosh, what would Morning Star be without the band? It would not be the same. Thank you. Frank, Jeffrey, Daryl, we're missing Ken. We're missing Ken. We missed you today, Ken. I think he's online watching. We missed you, Ken. Thank you, band. We love you guys so much. Oh my goodness. Before I move on, I forgot to say, Brooke, if people online want to get a hold of you, how can they reach you? Go to your website or
Yes.
which one?
You can just have them go to okreligioustraumanetwork.com.
Okay, okreligioustraumanetwork.com to learn more about Brooke. Okay, it's a lot of people put a lot of work into what you see and how you come and how you get value out of today. So I want to thank everybody who helped today. Remy is our magician. Like I keep saying, Remy is a magician. Came here to the TV's not working and all of that, and he snapped his fingers and it was fixed. I wish it was that easy. June takes care of our children. She has them doing yoga and all kinds of cool practices down there, a cool program. Our board. Oh, Yoha.
Yeah, today is the turn of Maya, which is Sarah's daughter.
Oh, Maya's helping today. Oh, Maya. I know she's not in here, but thank you. Oh, they love Maya. They love June. Yeah. So good. The setup team, Raj, Mona, thank you so much for setting up. You all are amazing. The board, finance committee, all of the people that it takes to do this. Thank you so much for helping out. Love you all so much. Okay, for announcements, Charlotte, do you want to come up or do you want me to just announce? Okay. The SIS retreat is Saturday, June 13th from 10 to 2 here. Be sure you let Charlotte know if you're interested in coming. It's going to be about exploring and sharing ways to become unstuck. And Sandy C's doing breath and movement in addition to that as well. So it's going to be really good. Are there any other announcements that I'm missing? All right, we're good to go today. Okay, next week's speaker is Lenore Lowe, Unveiling the Feminine Divine, Sacred Shapes for Wellness. Lenore Lowe lives in on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. She's an Ayurvedic Veda Yoga Wellness consult. Why can't I read? What's wrong with me? Y'all? What's happening here? I'm having a stroke? I don't know. Wellness consultant with many hours in accreditations in yoga, philosophy, practice, and pedagogy. As a graphic artist and writer, she has been inspired by the healing power of symbolism and the goddess. At the age of 29, after a direct experience with Mother Divine, Lenore's inquisitive nature embraced seeking more deeply the path of mysticism for her life. Presently, she is in the process of becoming an interfaith minister with All Faiths Seminary International. Lenore's talk for Morning Star will be informed by Shaktism. She will show how 5 simple shapes in the lower chakras can help us heal and find joy in our connection to all. Lenore has deep gratitude for the open-handed generosity of Eastern traditions and wishes to share the healing she has found in them with others. That's going to be good. It's always good. Like we always have great, amazing speakers. All right, I think it's time for our prayer for protection on the screen or on the back of your songbook, and then we will circle up for the peace song. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All is well, and so it is.